Hi everybody, it's Kevin here at the Claremont Classic Garage. It's a miserable rainy Saturday afternoon, the last Saturday in August. So we're out here in the shop. I'm going to show you a little project we've got. We have here an old front-tine rototiller that we bought at the auction. This thing is old. It's an Eaton Viking, was sold at Eaton's store in Canada back in the day. I'm guessing this thing is probably from the 70s or the 80s. Lucky I was able to find the model number on it, and it is indeed an MTD product. So I know I'll be able to find manuals for it, parts for it. That was a good thing. It came with a couple of bits and pieces. This I know belongs to this machine. These two extra tines, I'm pretty sure don't belong to this machine. They're a different color red, they're a different construction. But I may get some pieces of pipe and tube and cobble these on here, because if you are in nice sandy soil, you might be able to widen it out a little bit and not tax the engine too much. So that's a project for later. For now, I'm just going to throw these things in the shed. Anyway, it's got an old school 5-horse Briggs horizontal shaft engine. It's 4-speed. It looks pretty complete. Doesn't look like it's been left outside. And I did have it running already when I got it home. It turned over nice and easy. There was gas in it and it started. So what I've done is I've gone out and I've bought some parts, and we're going to service we're going to service it up, get it into good usable condition, and we'll give it a road test out in the yard. So, going by this model number, I was able to find on the internet an owner's manual that's reasonably close for this one. I got a new muffler for it, a new spark plug, a new air filter, and we're going to put some Mobil 1 synthetic oil in it. This says 5W20 on it, but what this really is a witch's brew of all kinds of different synthetic oils. It'll be good enough for this. I know it's not exactly proper, but hey, this is the Claremont Classic Garage. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is get the oil changed on this thing. I've gone ahead and lifted up the back of it and put it on an axle stand because the drain plug is around here on the front. Lucky for us, they've given us a hole in the skirting here for the oil to go out of. And we'll put a drain bucket under there, catch the oil, we fill it here, and that should be perfect. Right, we're going to go ahead and pull the drain plug out of this thing. It's an old school square plug. I had a 7/16 open end wrench on there, but it didn't want to budge. So you can go ahead and maybe give that a few whacks, a few sharp blows with a small hammer. Would probably shock it loose, and then you could use your open end wrench to get it out. But I've just gone ahead and gotten an 8-point or a square drive socket, we call it, and that fits right on there, and there, out she's going to come. So let's see what comes out of here. I'll open this up too to let a little air in so it'll drain nicely. Here we go. Let's see what's in here. Well, it's almost going in the bucket. The best laid plans of mice and men. This is not cool. Problem solved. Thank goodness I got lots of old cookie sheets. Too bad most of it's already all over the floor. But we have kitty litter too. Alright, we're going to put the plug back in now. The oil's all out. So this is a pipe plug. So we're going to put a little Teflon tape around it. You wind that around opposite to the direction that you're going to turn the plug. And you just break it off like that. This will make sure it seals without having to grossly over tighten it. There we go. So what we've done now, I've taken the back of it off the axle stand, and I just put a couple of blocks of wood under the wheels. The idea of this is to keep the engine level, because now we're going to fill it with oil. So these old Briggs engines, basically, to fill them with oil, you get it level and you fill it with oil. That's pretty much how it goes. So we're going to use our Witch's Brew here. This is really good stuff. This is 520 Mobil 1, 530 Mobil 1, 1030 Mobil 1, and just for good measure, some 0W40 T6 Rototiller. Leftovers of all of those things. It'll be fine. It only takes probably half a quart. Let's see. Well, we're getting there. Okay, shut. All right, so we've got it all filled with oil. We're going to put the cap back on. The oil change is done. Next, we're going to service the air filter. Now, I've been in here already, and I'll show you what I found. These things are a simple foam element soaked in oil that catches the dust and dirt. But what happens is this one is so old that see the foam, it's dry rotting and decaying. So we bought a new element. We're going to change that now. You can see here, it's just disintegrating. So let me go dump this in the garbage and I'll be right back. All right, so we got the pieces of our air cleaner assembly cleaned up. You can see here, it pulls the air up through the bottom. It goes up through the oil-soaked element, and then it goes into here and down into the carburetor. So, I found the actual Briggs & Stratton number on the engine. I went to briggsandstratton.com, looked up the original number for the air filter, which crossed up to this number. So I got this. I have no idea if it's right or not, but it looks right to me. So basically that goes in there like that. This goes in there like that, and then we're gonna soak this with some engine oil, and that's what's gonna make it filter. Okay, so now that we know we've got the right filter, I'm gonna oil it up. Just got some engine oil here in an oil can, and we're just going to go around and around and around and around and around and around, and squirt it in, and it'll work. It looks funny now, but it'll work its way through the oil or through the foam, and it'll turn this into an oiled element. See? Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Now we're going to put it together. We're going to put in this, put the lid on, and it can go back on the engine. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and change spark plug. That's pretty easy. This is something anybody can do. You don't need compressed air. You can blow on it. But first thing we're going to do, unplug the plug, and then there's crap around it. We don't want that crap falling down in the engine. So you can either get down there and blow on it, you'll get a face full of it, or you can just use this and get all this crap out of there. Okay, now we go ahead and take the plug out. We'll see what it looks like too. It is packed with crud. It's been in there a long time. So this is an old Autolite A7NX, which we crossed to a Champion CJ8, which when we went to Canadian Tire, ended up with being this, a First Fire FF12. So we're going to open this up, and we're going to check the gap. I looked it up already. The spark plug gap for this engine is 30 thousandths of an inch. So we're going to get our gapping gauge here. Find the right one, 30. It's the middle one here. These things are usually pretty close out of the package, but we're just going to double check. Yeah, Perfect. Okay, so now we can put it in. Get it in there by hand. Always start these things by hand. This is an aluminum cylinder head and it's really easy to cross thread it and screw things up. Then once it's in, just give it a little, make sure it's tight. We don't have to kill it, just make sure it's tight. Put our lead back on and we're done. All right, next up we're going to change the muffler. Per se, I don't think there's anything, physically wrong with the muffler, but it is probably the original one. And they do rot out inside and get loud. So we got a new one here for $14.99 at Canadian Tire. I'm going to go ahead and change it. It's the exact right one. So we're going to grab some tools and see if we can get this sucker out of here. It's a 3/4 pipe thread. Hopefully it's not in there that tight. A vice grip on here should get it out. I got a vice grip on here and all it was doing was turning this in the cylinder head. I wasn't getting anywhere. So what I've done is I've gotten a pipe wrench here and we're going to put some opposing force on this fitting and see if we can get this to come off. And it does. So now I can just use the vice grip. Maybe not, it might come up by hand. There we go. We'll get this out of here. Now this here is what they call the lock. You notice you probably see these on your fuse box in the basement. It's a jam nut for an electrical box. So we're going to swap this over to the new one and install the new muffler. So our lock nut is stuck on here pretty good. So we're going to get on the vise here and just work around it with a ball peen hammer and see if we can shock it into wanting to come off. Because we don't negotiate with machines here. We always want to win. Let's see here. No, I'm going to have to put it in the vise. Alright, so we finally got this thing turning. It might be a little squashed now. I might have to actually go downstairs into my electrical supplies and get a new one because it don't want to come off. Come on. Oh, here she comes. There, we got it. That's been on there a long time. Okay. Send this to be made into a soup can. Now we'll get our new muffler. Put this on. That's good. And we'll get it installed on the engine. So I'll just grab it here, make sure it's tight. Good. And then we'll tighten the lock nut. Okay, done. Okay, now we've got all that done. We're going to start the engine up. Well, hopefully we're going to start the engine up. It should run, and we'll see how it goes. So to fire this thing up, we have to make sure that the transmission is in neutral, which it is. The engine control to the start position, which is about halfway. We're going to pull the choke. This one doesn't have a primer. That's the choke in and out. And we're just going to give the cord a pull and see if she starts. No funny noises. couldn't ask for more. Okay, so we've looked at the manual. The chain drive is down inside here, and according to the manual, that needs no service for the life of the machine. It's permanently lubed from the factory. I find that kind of, I would be skeptical of that because it was lubed when it was put together in the 70s. But it works fine. So they say the only time you need to lube it is if you actually take it apart and you're only lubing it because you're in there. So anyway, there is a specification on the belts. So what they want us to do is start it up, lay it back so obviously the tines are not touching the concrete, and put it into fourth gear. And the drive system works similar to a snowmobile. It's a variable pulley, and they wanted at that point for the belt to come out just flush with the edges of the pulley. If it does not, we need to make an adjustment. So I'm going to go ahead and start it, and we'll see what happens. Alright, now that I've followed the instructions in the manual, I'm going to set it back, we'll put it in fourth gear, and see what our pulley does. Okay, so we adjusted it up a little bit. We're going to see what happens now. How high up? We adjusted it up as much as we could to try and get the belt to come up to the top of the pulley in fourth gear, and we could only get it within about a 3/16 of an inch from the top. I've got it adjusted so it drives in all four gears. That's fine, but I think probably what's happened is the belt is probably worn and needs to be changed. So I will probably see what I can do about getting two new belts for this, but for now, it's working. We can use it. I'm going to go ahead and put the cover back on it, and we'll go outside and till some earth.